Hey, what's up, everybody? My name is Mia Boostrom,
And I'm Jillian Jensen.
and welcome to
Exit Interview. Be sure to check us out on Instagram, which is just Exit Interview Podcast.
Yeah, and you can also check us out on almost every streaming site, Spotify, Anchor FM, and many, many more. So keep on listening. I remember you were 18, right? When you had been on the show, you had just turned 18.
Yeah.
And I just feel like for you to be able to write music like that resonates with so many people and has all these different universal feelings. I mean, like, it almost feels like you've lived 50 years, wrote about your experience through your 50 years, and because I mean, I'm not the only one that resonates with your songs. Like, my mom resonates with these songs, and like, I've shown songs like this to my cousins, and like, they all resonate with these songs. So for you to be able to, even with your song about the horror movies and stuff, like, for women to listen to that and to resonate with that about being like a badass woman and feeling empowered, like, you being able to do that is so beautiful, because even we can't even express the way that we feel the way that you can, and I think that that's
Thank
really
you.
beautiful.
Well, I think it's easier almost, and it's rare, obviously, to see a man talking about that stuff. Like, I think that's such a rarity for like
Yeah.
men to be like, yeah, you can be a badass woman, like publicly.
Yeah, acknowledge that and write about it and like celebrate it.
Right, but I think it's easier in a sense for a guy to recognize that, whereas women, we're so hard on ourselves all the time that we don't see the badassery that can be
Right.
there, but you kind of get to see that from the outside perspective.
Totally. And there's always a stigma of like being loud and proud and being a woman that is all of a sudden attached to it, that just, we can talk about it, but you can't talk about it because then we'll just think you're loud or bitchy or whatever. I love badass women. Jane Fonda's on my sweatshirt. This is all I do. I'm just like, that's just what I do. But it's nice to be able to talk, to have the luxury of talking about it without, people complaining. You do what you can, I guess.
I love that. Britton, you're the best.
Oh, Mia, you're the best.
You are the best.
No, you're the best.
Back and forth.
We could do this for like an hour, because I remember one day we were sitting in the same rehearsal space and we were like sitting back and forth with each other, like seriously just paying each other compliments over and over again. No, Britton, like, really, you're the best.
You're the best, Mia. It's settled.
I don't know. I can't take a compliment to save my life, so.
Well, I think
I wouldn't.
that's
have,
us even not taking compliments. Like, we can't even accept that we're the best. We're just like, no, you're
Pass that on.
Pass it on. I'm gonna pass on that compliment. So after the show, what did you get yourself into after all of going from being on the show and having a constant schedule and having so many things to do and coming off the show? I found that was kind of hard for me, because I kind of was like, oh my gosh, what do I do now? Like, I don't have, it kind of made me stray away from music a little bit, because I didn't know what I was doing, where I was going, what was the next step for me. How did you take that, especially being that far onto the show?
What they don't tell you is your world completely changes. Maybe they tell you this, but they don't prepare you for it, because there's no way to really do that. To lock you inside of a hotel room for 4 months.
Mm-hmm.
And then to like return you from whence you came, and then the world is just like you're suddenly somebody. And for me, I come from a rural North Carolina town. We're growing, and like we would play in bars, and like maybe there would be 50 people in there, and over half would be already there drinking or just coming to drink in the first place. And then the show happened, and I added a show at my local. We have a professional theater from where I'm from that seats about 350 people. I was like, I'm going to do 2 shows. And my dad was like, that's too many. No one's good. Like, people aren't going to come twice.
You won.
Then he was like, just do 1, just announce 1. And I was like, I think I'll do 2, Dad. And then we announced the 2 shows, and it was like 700 seats based off the 2 shows, and they sold out online in seconds. And there was 150 people in line in front of the theater, and the last person to get tickets for either of the 2 nights was the 3rd person in line. And we were like, okay, maybe we should do a 3rd show and just sell it to the people in line. And then that show sold out just based off of the people in line. And there was so many like emails and phone messages for the people that we added for the theater that they hadn't even gone through, that we added a 4th show, which also sold out in seconds. And so we did a Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday run with Jackie Verna opening the show.
Oh, my Ruby.
That was like, whoa, why do people care? Like, every show I've ever played in this town has, one, not been here. It's been in a place much dirtier and dingier than this. And no one showed up. And then now all of a sudden everyone's showing up, and people want to like take pictures of me while I'm eating, or they want to stop me on the street or in Walmart to take pictures of me. And they don't prepare you for that. And then another thing they don't prepare you for is one day no one will care. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Like, you're propelled into this world of like, everyone's like, oh my God, I loved you on The Voice. Oh my God, can I take a picture? Oh my God, I want to buy tickets to your show. I want to sign. Can you sign? Blah, 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 blah. And then all of a sudden it has gone, it went as fast as it came. It's just a whirlwind of being locked in a hotel room and not seeing anybody, and then being back into this space, and it changes fundamentally. And then things go back to the same, and it's just like whiplash. It's like you've slammed on brakes 3 different times, and you're like, oh wow, this is weird. But the shows were great. I mean, people back home are still very supportive, not to say that they haven't been supportive, but at some point you just like, you play so many shows that like everyone's like, I'll just catch the next one, and then the next one becomes the next one, and the next one becomes the next one. And so then it's just a struggle for identity outside of the show, which is even harder.
Yep. I totally agree with you on that. And I feel the same way, because I felt like, funny but horribly sad story, just for my ego, I guess. After the show, you know, same thing. I mean, I didn't even make it nearly as far as Britton did. And, you know, there'd be people that would recognize me, and you'd take a picture, and, you know, it would feel like you'd still have that sense of comfort of being on the TV show that you were just wrapped in. And then all of a sudden I'm at a wedding, and a girl comes up to me and she goes, you know what? You really need to audition for The Voice.
Wow.
Like,
that's awful.
Oh, I'm like, do you watch it? And she's
right.
like, I watch it. She's like, I watch it religiously every season. I'm like, okay. I'm like, I was on it 3 seasons ago. And she was like, no. And it was just kind of one of those same moments where they don't, like, you don't expect to have. It's like,
right.
I came as fast as I went. Like,
humbles the shit out of you real
like,
quick.
It really does. You know what the worst is people that are like, I mean, and they're well-intentioned people, but you start to realize that they just kind of barely know who you are, and they'll be like, I loved you on American Idol.
Oh, I get that all the time.
I loved you on America's Got Talent.
All the time, yes.
And you're just like, oh wow, you didn't watch the show. You didn't
like, oh,
like
no.
Somebody just told you that I was on. Yeah, which is fine. I mean, I still have friends that are like, and like, when you were on American Idol, and I'm like, no, that's the wrong one.
The wrong show.
That's the wrong one. But you know,
fair,
that
though,
happens.
Yeah, to be fair though, I feel like there's so many shows right now. So it's like there's people that are dead ass convinced I was on America's Got Talent. Like, so convinced that if I tell them I'm sorry, no, it was actually this. Well, they're like, how dare you?
Yeah,
like,
well, I think
how dare I?
The confusing thing for you is that you were on X Factor, which is the same concept as America's Got Talent. And then you were on American Idol, so it's like blended. And then for us, Idol had premiered again for the first time.
Against our season.
On our season. Yeah. We had to battle
the same nights,
and with another competitor.
I thought that was so weird. Why did American Idol still keep it on the same nights?
It's so odd.
I thought it was very weird. I thought it was poor marketing on their behalf, because
it's so weird. And I think what was even the worst part was, I think that we were Monday and Tuesday, and they were Sunday and Monday, and so people would tune in to see the results of American Idol and completely miss us perform, which is the whole point of watching The Voice. And it's like, oh man, why weren't we on season 13?
I know, we
could have just missed it. And it was like the same premiere week. American Idol, first time back in like 3 or 4 years.
We could have been on season 15, which was like, 6 months after us.
Exactly. But you know what? We had a great season. I actually I loved everybody that was on the show with us, and everybody is so talented, and we had such a great season. I think we're very underrated.
I think so too.
The whole season as a whole, because everybody, the playoffs night,
yes,
where this was like, they were back to doing it live, and the first night was like, we performed, and then the America voted, and the highest voted person at the end was already safe, and then everybody else, there was 4 of us. It was me, Bryn, Kyla, and Shireen. And the rest of us, the rest of everybody else had to, the rest of us had to sing again the next night. And then they were going to cut 3 people from every team. And we were in the audience and had to watch, which was awful. It was so awful.
Depressing.
It was so awful because it was just like, because you left the next day.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's so depressing because it's like half of your friends, literally half, are just all of a sudden going to be gone the next day. And you're never prepared for it. Like, it never got easier. Top 12, top 11, top 10, top 8, whatever. It never got easier to just be like, and this person is gone. This person is gone. And this person is gone. And we're all from different places. So it's just like, when am I ever going to see this person again? If ever, you know?
And that, I think, is also, I agree. I think that's the hardest part. And that night of the results of the live playoffs, I mean, like you said, like, we've become, at this point, I think season 14 was one of the biggest families that the show has ever seen.
Yeah.
Because I don't know if it was just our personalities or the way that we just, connected with one another, but everybody had a connection with everybody on a different level.
Right.
Like Britton and I had a relationship that was completely different than Britton's relationship with Bryn, or with, what was one of your closest friends on the show? Even you and Reed. I mean, like, you guys have
Reed.
such an
I love
awesome
Reed.
relationship.
Well, I'll tell you, me and Wilkes are in love with each other.
Oh, I love
And so I have played so many shows with Wilkes, and Wilkes and I have written so many songs together, and we'll like text each other demos. Wilkes is probably the person I talk to the most still in Dallas, who I just always stayed with when I was in Nashville, or she stayed here when she was in LA, because I was spending like a week out of every month in Nashville in 2019. So I was just I felt like I lived there. But Reed and I's relationship was just me admiring him and him being like, who is this weird 18-year-old kid who's in love with me? Jenna's gonna get jealous.
Honestly, I think that was Reed's relationship with almost everybody.
He was just so nice, and he was so low-key and undercover, and then he would just sing, and you're like, oh my God, you're an angel.
Honestly.
And then it was just
deceiving. Like, in the beginning when they send us to LA and we're with our team and we've never met each other, and you all have to watch each other's audition. And
that's the worst.
Well, you're all looking at each other like, I wonder what they do. I wonder what they sound like. And everybody on Team Adam, when Reed was sitting in the room, because me and Kaylee always would walk by Reed during the blinds, and he would always be sitting on the same couch with his headphones on, and he wouldn't talk to anybody. He just would sit there with his headphones on, listening to whatever. So I'd never had any other interaction with him except for that. And then when we got on the show, he's sitting there and I'm like, I wonder what this dude sounds like. Like, I'm genuinely interested. He opens his mouth and it's Take Me to the Pilot by Elton John, which, 1, Elton John is one of my favorite artists of all time. 2, it's one of my favorite songs of all time. And 3, holy shit, that dude can sing his ass off.
He's so brilliant. And like, I feel like he just kind of like floats up in the ether somewhere. Like, I don't feel like his feet touch the ground when he walks. Like, I feel like he's that far out of reach. Do you know what I mean? Like,
yes,
he's so mysterious and elusive. And like, every time you feel like you're near Reed, you find out that somehow he just like got 10 inches further from you. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, like, he's just so odd.
Do you know anyone like that?
No, I'm just gathering that Reed is the good Lord Almighty. Is
Is
that where
he's pretty magical?
Pretty
magical.
And the Church of Reed.
Yeah, he's magical, and there's just something about him that's just like, you want to be close to him, but it's impossible. And not because he doesn't want to be close to you, but there's this like otherworldly boundary in between you that you can't pass. And it's just like, Reed, and he's like reaching for you, but you can't quite touch each other. Do you know what I mean?
That's Reed. It's weird that I know exactly what you mean.
Like, I've met celebrities that I idolize Reed more than celebrities, I think.
Yes.
I think, like, for real, like, I don't know, I felt like he was the coolest person. Like, I would rather be on Team Reed than Team Adam at some points in my life.
It's amazing. He's pretty phenomenal. And Let Him Fly, Jesus Christ. When he sang that song, I was like, how can one person be this good? And then he did
the U2 song.
The U2 song, and then the next night, God, what was it? Is it Long Cool Woman in a Black Dress?
Yes.
That, God knows. And I was like, how can this? First off, he seemed like a match made in heaven for Adam as well. So it was like, how could this person, like, it didn't make any sense. The thing is, the 3 people that stayed and the 3 people that went home were both two teams that could have won the show easily. Like, they were like the best 2 teams on the whole show. The three that stayed and 3 that went home for Team Adam.